As the Roy of the Rebbe to learn Hilchos Beis Abchira in the days Ben HaMetzorim, we have the honor today to have one of the senior shluchim in Mונטריאול, Menal of Besrivke Harav, Rabbi Yosef Mינקאוויטש, which is going to give us some insight into the building of the Beis HaMikdash. Rabbi Mינקאוויטש, bevakasha. In the meantime, everybody should give tzedakah b'tzibur as the Roy of the Rebbe.
פרק חמישי, לפי פרק על בייס הבחירה, רמב"ם writes that the Har HaMoriah is 500 amas by 500 amas by a look of pages. This page is the second page of the Mishnah Midas. It says that it's Tokuf Amma 500 by 500, and the Kipin al-Gabi Kipin, Nuyus Metachto. And there's also many chambers built underneath, so the tumah shouldn't become tumah. If anything is underneath, there's a lot of spaces, so then it took care of that. And the Rambam continues in Halacha Vav, also taken from the Masechta Midas, that the Azora, which is the area of the Beis HaMikdash itself, which was the Har HaBayis, and then was the Azora, which contained in that the Heichol, the Beis HaMikdash, the Kedesh HaKadoshim. So the Azora was not exactly in the center of the Har HaBayis, but it was from the Dorim side, from the south side, was more space than it was from the east side, and from the east was more space than from the north, and the least space was from the Ma'ariv, the back, the Kedesh HaKadoshim, to the outer wall of the Har HaBayis. So that's what the Rambam says. So here we have this is taken as satellite image from the Har HaBayis. Today you can have these things, Baruch Hashem. So we can see over here, here's a pointer here. Yeah, you can see it here, right over here, compared to the Har HaBayis. This is the case of Amaravi. This area right over here is the case of Amaravi where you can daven. And then there's the whole Sheta
here. How am I supposed to? What's the here?
Here, it's a small dot. It's in the black line.
On the right side of the red line.
You see here, right here. Here you see.
Yes. So this is the
the red thing here. You see, that's the ganze Meise. That's the whole case of Amaravi. The Har HaBayis, let's see the wall going over here. That's the case of Amaravi, the whole wall. And this buildings, there's another 300 meters that goes all the way to the other end. It's still the case of Amaravi. And now they made the tunnels. They made that you can actually see it at a lower level. You can actually get it. And there's 90 meters on the right side towards Durham. And there's 90 meters going this way. Towards Durham, which is also part of the case of Amaravi, but the case of what we call case of Amaravi is right over here, just the whole Sheta. Now the problem is that now we can measure the actual walls around the Har HaBayis, and we come up with a big problem. Because the walls around the Har HaBayis, if you go from Mizrach to Ma'ariv, which means, or from Ma'ariv to Mizrach, which from here, with the case of Amaravi is, let's say, going all the way this way, which is the Mizrach wall around the Har HaBayis. So with there it comes out, Sachakel, there's 283 meters. If you go measure over here, and it's not an exact rectangle even, and it moves the other way. When you go from the Dorim side, it comes out to 17 meters. So in any case, let's say the average is 300 meters, and the length, the main problem is the length of the Har HaBayis, according to the walls, is from the Dorim wall, which is over here. It's not such a good pointer. Regular pointers I found out don't work. The laser pointers on this. So we have to use this system here. So okay, this point that goes from here to here, from Tzofen to Durham to Tzofen, comes out to be 480 meters. That's a lot more than 500 ames of the Harabayis. About 250 meters would be 500 ames. So you have 480 meters, the whole length of the whole Harabayis, and a major problem of where's the Harabayis then? What happened? So be'emes, the Biskir Teisvis in Masechtas Midas, Siman Hey, he says very clearly. He says that the Har HaYagodl, the mountain was bigger than 500 by 500. But it says that the one that's Mekudish, the one that's called holy, that Shetach is holy. The rest is, yeah, it's there. And so the Farshim explained what happened. Hurdis, as we know, who rebuilt the second Beis HaMikdash, the water son of a bastard that was called Abayis Achim Arishon, applies to the Hurdis. But the halacha is in Shavuos, it says in Pedig Beis, they now be meisif on the Azora and Yerushalayim without a melech, without a novi, without the Urmatumim, and the Urmatumim didn't exist in the second Beis HaMikdash, so they couldn't be meisif with the Kedusha. He built the walls that way. That's why he built his walls. So the walls that you have, and a lot of the walls that are on the side of the Keisel Maravi over here, keep going further. And also by the Keisel Mizrachi on the other side, which is Hara Seisim is all the way on top. And the Keisel Dremi, there's Yoseidas there from the Bayis Rishon even. Bayis Rishon, the first Beis HaMikdash, and on top of that they built more walls. But the ones that are on the Tzofen side over there is, that's what Hurdis made. He made walls. And but the Chomish Ames, Chomish Meis Ames, Chov Meis Ames, the 500 Ames, that's where the Beis HaMikdash stood. So now you have a problem. So now that you have a Shetach that is much bigger than 500 Ames by 500 Ames, so the question is, where is that number one? And the main thing is, where did the Beis HaMikdash stand? And that Shetach, where did it stand? So there's well known, the first Mokkeh that speaks about it, a very controversial thing, is the Radvaz. It's a very big Pesach, and etc., etc. And he writes that the Even HaShasiyah, which was the Kedesh HaKadoshim, the Odom was Munach, and that's where the King Gadol went in, was right under here. This is called the Kippus HaSela, the Dome of the Rock, which is now, so 1330 years ago they built this, the Arabic, on the Harabayis. So he says that right over here, this is the Beis HaMikdash, the Kedesh HaKadoshim. As a matter of fact, today, if you go in the tunnels, which is over here, when you reach this place right over here, under the ground by the tunnels, it says Zeh Mechuvin Mokim HaMikdash. It's mamish opposite right over here, the Mokim HaMikdash. So that's what he says. And there's one a big problem, because there's many poskim and achreinim that came out against this, because he himself, the Sefer himself, and himself writes things that's completely not accurate. Because the Beis HaMikdash was a building. Around the Beis HaMikdash itself, there was the Chemes HaAzorah, the Azorah, not the Harabayis. That's a separate wall surrounding the whole area of the Beis HaMikdash. And then there was the Kesel that we call today the Kesel Maravi, which is the Chemes Harabayis. So he says that's not the Harabayis. He says that the western wall, the Kesel Maravi over here, is the Chemes HaAzorah. The Chemes HaAzorah, which is right around Beis HaMikdash. The only problem is, it says Befedish, there's only an Aleph Amma, there's 11 Amma between the end of the wall of the Beis HaMikdash till the wall of the Azorah. And even if you add on from the Even Shasiyah, there was a Toyim, there was the lockers there on the wall itself, so another 17 Ammas, you'll have 28 Ammas. The problem is that the Kesel, what we call the Kesel Maravi, and if he calls it the Kesel HaZorah, the distance is much, much greater, because there's 104 meters. 104 meters, that's more than 200 Amas. It should be Sachachel 28 Amas, that's it. If this is the case, if this wall is not the case for Maravi, but it's the case for Azorah. So it's something completely not accurate. And then he says that this wall over here, this wall is the case of Dremi, which is all the way at the end over here. That is also the case for Azorah. This wall here is the case for Azorah. The case for Azorah, if that's the case for Azorah, and the whole way, it's 261 meters from there till the rock, the dome of the rock. That's more. It's 500 amas, which is the whole base. The whole Harabais is 500 amas. So where do we make the stand? If this is the case, Lazora, it doesn't. It can't be. So it came out this whole bunch of truths about this. There's many stories written about this. Once he got into this business that this is the case, Lazora, he messed up the whole thing. Okay. So even though there's a rock inside, that rock has nothing to do with the Beis Hamikdash. Beis Hamikdash can't be over there. It's impossible. Because according to his Cheshbonus itself, it's impossible to be like that. So the question is, so where is the Beis Hamikdash? Where will we place it on the Harabais? So there's a few things. We'll just do some of it because there's archaeological things that were testing that were made and so on. We'll take one thing that's also brought down in Chassidus. There was an iron itom that with the brought down in Chassidus that you can't go higher than the Shevish. There was water, a lot of plumbing was in the Beis Hamikdash. A lot of plumbing. There's mikvahs and there's rinse the Beis Hamikdash. A lot of stuff was going on over there. So in order to get the water there, it had to come from a well, from a spring. But water, the laws of physics, and the Gemara talks about this, is that the water had to come. Even if it goes downhill, but if the water comes from a place that is higher, it can go downhill and go back up again, but not higher than its source. That's what Chassidus brings it down a lot, and you can't go higher than the Shevish. So the water came in. Now the water came, and it's still existing today. The aqueducts, the water came to the Beis Hamikdash, the Berech Shleima, the Einitim, which is outside of Yerushalayim. So the water came in, but the trouble is it's 5 meters lower than the rock. So if it's 5 meters lower than the rock, it's impossible for it to go even to the floor of the Beis Hamikdash to wash out, to rinse everything out, let alone to go 23 amas higher, because the Kiyam God, one of the mikvahs around the Shar HaMayim, the water gate, the gate of water gate, and it says all the Shorim were 20 amas high. Then there was a cover on top of the Shar. Then there was a mikveh that was 3 amas for the mikveh itself. So it was 23 amas. That's what you needed to. It had to be 23 amas higher than the floor of the Beis Hamikdash. Otherwise it wouldn't be able to go up. So, and the source of the water we know is lower, so it wouldn't be able to make it. Also on the Durham wall over here, you can still see it. Anybody went to Israel? You can see on the Durham wall over here on this side here on this Durham wall here. There's 2 shorim that are closed up now with rocks. It's called the Shari Chulda. And the Shari Chulda, you can see, is like 16 meters below the level of the Beis Hamikdash. There were shorim that were going into the ground. They were going into the ground. If you say that this is the level with this rock. And this rock, by the way, the Gemara said the Sholish's voice is much higher than Sholish's voice sticking out. But it couldn't be they were going into the ground. So these, and there's other things that they made ecological, but infrared. They checked in the areas of the Beis Hamikdash. They said that the hollow spaces are not in that space. As a matter of fact, we must say that it was lower. The Beis Hamikdash was lower. Everybody thinks that that's the level of Beis Hamikdash. It's not correct. Beis Hamikdash was about 16 meters lower than what we see now. And that alone, the whole area where the dome of the rock is in Tzofan, going north, that whole area is full of rocks. They made a lot of archaeological diggings over there over 100 years ago. The British Museum has a lot of information. This whole area is full of rocks. The only place that is not rocks is over here, in this area over here. That's the area where there's no rocks. So Beis Hamikdash was standing over there. That's where it was. And it was much lower, lower than what we are accustomed to thinking that that's where it is. And the main thing is, to know where it was, there's a Emek HaMelech brings down for Rav Moshe Vital, who was a grandson of Rav Chaim Vital, and his father, Rav Shmuel Vital. They were the ones that wrote up mainly of the Kisvi Arizal. Arizal didn't write anything itself, and today's this Yortzeit. So Rav Moshe Vital writes an amazing thing. The Seidei, the secrets in Kisvi Arizal, and he writes, why is the place, the Mokim Kodesh, B'lei Binyan? There's no building where the Beis Hamikdash stood. And he said, and this Dvorim She'en Lo Lishma Ksav, Valdik things that you can't even put it down and write. And also it's brought down in the Zayah, also L'Shein, he brought down interesting things, so that these stones of the Beis HaMikdash, they're all hidden, and they're going to come back to its place. And no other eyes, which is of the Goyim, I can even see it and build it. It's completely there. As a matter of fact, Reuben Margolius made the sefer in the Tzuz HaZeir on the Zeir itself. So he writes from here, you can see clearly that the Eben Shasiyah, the Kippah Sasela, and the Dome of the Rock is not the Eben Shasiyah. That rock, what they call the Dome of the Rock, that rock is not Eben Shasiyah. It's nothing. It's a rock. You end it, finished. That's all it is. So according to this, it comes out an amazing thing. It comes out that we said before, we daven over here. Eden daven over there for hundreds, for thousands of years, since the Churban. Eden are davening in this place over here, right over here. So the davening over here, according to this, the Beis HaMikdash stood right over here, because on this side, on the right side, there's another mosque called Al-Aqsa Mosque. They were built around the same time, 1,330 years ago. Same time. This is the Dome of the Rock, the one with the gleaming gold on top, and then this is Al-Aqsa Mosque. In between, there's more than enough space for the Beis HaMikdash. The width is 159 ames to fit in Barchove. And then everything works out. It was much deeper than what we see today. And it's also the Geil Aloch interessant because when you stand by the Beis HaMikdash, it says in Gemara, in Brachas, the Plamet, Al Rebbe says, Shulchan Tzadik Dalet, brings the Barichas that you must daven facing Yerushalayim, facing the Beis HaMikdash, and facing the Kodesh HaKadoshim. You may have to turn your face or turn your... So, if you have to, you turn your head. The Alter Rebbe goes into a whole arichas with spherical trigonometry to give you the exact location of every place in the world, how the formula, how to figure it out. Now, if you're standing over here and you have to daven towards the Kodesh HaKadoshim, that would be over here, you shouldn't daven Mizrach. Of Yalocha, you have to daven Tzveinis Mizrachis. You can't daven Mizrach. You're not allowed to. You have to have a finish Gemara. The Alter Rebbe is barichas about this. Everybody is with all Yid daven Mizrach, because the Beis HaMikdash, that's what the Beis HaMikdash was. The Beis HaMikdash was mamish right over there. I'll just show another here. We'll see over here. We'll see a little bit better. A close up now. You see the Dome of the Rock that's over there with the dome, and what's on the right, and all the way on the right side on the bottom, that is the Keis Lamarovi. We Yid daven right over here. This whole shetach over here, Yid daven. Today they extended a little bit further to the left. Yid daven over there. And the shetach above, you see the trees, was never built any mosques. There's nothing built over there. Shishash still. So over here, the Arabs do what they have to do over here. Here is Shash still, and then you go over here. This is from the back. This is taken from Sad Mizrach. So the Keis Maravi is over here in this area right here. The Keis Maravi, but the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is right over here, the Kippah Sasela, the Dome of the Rock is here. So the area where the trees are, where the Beis HaMikdash actually stood, that is like a freeze, no problem. Now you see from the other side, now you can see again, this is the Dome of the Rock, this you see the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and in between is a big shetach where Beis HaMikdash stood, and the Keis Maravi was right here opposite this area. And if you look further, it's very interesting that no one goes there, and in Allah the God, Alter Rebbe says, it's the Shonodich, Mokam Mikdash, Tomim is not allowed to go, but this is what it looks like. It's very interesting. On the right side, you see this old stone and rocks and earth, etc., etc. This is the level where it is now. The Keis Lamarovi is over here, and even this, they knocked down in B'Chamesh Yomim, when they came in right away before the international protest will come in, the next day, they knocked down those little buildings there. You see this outline over here, that's what it looked like. The area there was as big as the shul that you're able to daven. So that they knocked down, and they also dug deeper, 2 levels of stone. And each stone is about a meter, 3 feet. The 2 levels, 6 feet, the height of a person. You go to the Keis Maravi, you can see it on the pictures. The bottom 2 levels are still black. It's never able to clean it out because it's full of stone and full of mud and everything else. That's famous stories that were told to drop all the garbage or whatever it may be. But that they knocked off. So even with this, you have over here the 17 rows going all the way down. Down to the foundation, all the way down. If you go in the tunnels, you can see even those levels also. all the way down. And here is full of earth and full of that whole area over here. So if you're standing at the Har HaBayis, the top rows over here are not the Har HaBayis, in the case of Maravi. It was made by some Moshe Monntefiore. Even in those days, the Arabs used to stand over here and throw stones at the people davening here. So he built up a sort of wall. This has nothing to do with the case of Maravi. This is just an additional wall put up 150 years ago. So in case of Maravi, basically, you stand at the Har HaBayis, you see Sachakal 2 stones. But that's not really where it was. The Beis HaMikdash was all the way down here was the Beis HaMikdash. This was the Beis HaMikdash. So when people are standing here, the mamish mula Beis HaMikdash. Now, if you just think about it, the Heichel, the Kedesh HaKadoshim, was 100 ames high. It's higher than the Surfside building that collapsed. Higher than that. Higher than that. And we know what's left over, and it says Tova Baruch Shoreo. So as the Zohar says, that everything went into the ground. So all of this area, the Beis HaMikdash is here. Everything is here. Nothing got lost. No Avonim got lost. It'll all come up when Mashiach comes. Everything will come back. So when it was old, there was a collapse. There was the whole thing collapsed. It was by the Churban Beis HaMikdash. Everything came down. So it all ended up over here. Every here. And later they flattened it out. They made a level over here. So that's the level now. So the area, the Beis HaMikdash, will be over here, where the earth is now, and the whole Beis HaMikdash is there. It's there, and the Zohar says it'll come out, and then it'll come out perfectly okay. Every daven is l'tzad Mizrach, the davening this way, which is towards Mizrach of the Beis HaMikdash, stood right over here. The Goyim never had anything, never will have anything. And we'll have the Beis HaMikdash take a Riyad Mamish, be able to see the real Beis HaMikdash, not just the one that's buried, but the Beis HaMikdash, Eimed, the Meshuchlo, Lovanoi, the coming of Mashiach, Kodesh Mamish.
Amen. Shkoyach Rav Mינקאוויטש. After Tefillah service, in Mr. Hashem, there will be a siyum. We need a few minyonim outside. Yes, we need to bring right here.